Hey guys!
Welcome back to our YouTube channel.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much to our subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, you know what to do. It's the right thing to do. It's free. Free. Mahala. It's mahala. It's free. Just subscribe. You know, you pay nothing for it, okay?
Yeah, today's video is very interesting.
Yeah.
We're continuing the money series.
Yes.
And today we're talking about
saving. How to master up your saving game, honey. So you have a bit of effects. Right? People are not saving. Apparently you're out there not saving, you guys.
Yeah, so actually, according to Alexander Forbes, they say that actually the savings in South Africa, well, they call it the savings GDP, is about 19.2%. You know, so that means all of the money in the GDP, 19.2%, is going towards savings. So things like insurance, retirement funds, and things like that. So it's not a lot because
I would say 19 sounds good.
Yeah, but
so put it to perspective.
Thank you, honey. The Gini index, you know, the inequality index that looks at, you know, the proportion of where the money is going. They actually find out that 5% of South Africa's population actually gets enough money to save for retirement, which
only
means
5%.
Only 5.
Okay, so this is for retirement savings.
This is just for retirement savings.
Okay.
And they say that for you to save for retirement, you need to save between 15 and 20% of your income.
Sure, per month.
Per month. So yeah, guys, we need to start saving.
Yeah, no, we need to bump up our savings. Savings is a good practice. You know, if you read all the books by everyone, you need to learn how to manage your money. You need to learn how to save. So yeah. I think we've fared well in saving. At least I must blow my own heart.
Yeah, I think we've done particularly okay.
So today we're going to share some of the things that have helped us be able to save. That I think can help anyone else out there.
Yeah, so if you remember in our money series, the first one we showed our budget.
Yeah, so
today we're sharing about some of the things that help us save.
Yes, and how we saved. But we ain't gonna tell you what you're gonna do with our savings. You find out, okay? When we are in the youngest millionaires Forbes.
Save.
Forbes youngest millionaires, you will see. Okay, okay, kidding, jokes.
Yeah. So
lots
of jokes. And today, maybe we'll share about 5.
Yeah.
Five
things.
Yeah.
5 things.
There's more out there, but we're gonna share maybe 5
that help
things.
Us. Yeah.
And the first one is objectives. Yeah. Having an objective.
Setting an objective.
Yeah. Setting an objective. Basically your savings goal, you know. So if you remember in our previous video, we talked about how much money you budget for savings and things like that. So it's important to have goals when you're saving. And maybe we'll get into this. Why is saving important? And I think one of the things that you need to consider is risk mitigation, right? You need to mitigate the risk in your life. So for example, I'll give you a risk. What if you lose your job tomorrow? You know, so how are you going to finance your living expenses later on? So saving helps cover that, you know. It helps also if you have life goals, you know. It helps you look into your life goals. So for example, if you want to have children later on, maybe in a couple of years, if you want to buy that house and things like that, it helps you prepare yourself for those kind of financial obligations that might come later on in the future. So what do? You look at your budget and you decide how much you're going to put away, you know, for those life goals. And I think
getting practical, you need to be very practical about your savings. So if you know, like, you want to buy a house, how much is a house? R1 million, how much must you save? This is if you want to avoid a bond, for example, or you're saving up for a deposit for the bond. or maybe your life goal is to buy a franchise. You looked up, you saw a news headline, franchises under R1 million, and then you're like, oh, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. This is how I'm gonna get out of the rat race. So yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So you want to get very practical. For example, if you want, maybe your franchise is, what is it, King Pie?
Yeah.
They said it's worth 500,000 rand. This is not a fact, it's an example. You want to get down to the nitty-gritties. How do you save towards 500 rand, 500,000 rand, right? Maybe you want to buy this in 5 years, right? You are just starting out in your career, you're in your early 20s, you are saying by the time you hit 25, you, honey, are gonna be an owner of a franchise, okay? So you're like, 5 years, how much must you save per year? 100,000, just an example. You want to break it down to even a month or even a week. You know, you must know how much you must put away for a week to reach your dream, right? So I think that getting practical does help.
Very important
with your savings plan, because it helps you put things into perspective, and then you get to know exactly how you must direct your steps to get closer to your dream.
Very important. Know the value of what you're saving for, and the timeline. You know, when are you going to reach that goal based on how much you're saving. And I think an important point, maybe I missed out at the start, if you have debt, right, you need to consider servicing your debt as well. First. But I also think you need to have some savings to mitigate those risks.
Servicing your debt.
Yeah, while still servicing your debt. It's very important.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also think that while you do your budgeting or you're drawing up your savings plan, you should set up a spending allowance. Because if you're being realistic, if you're human and you're waking up every day, every morning, going to slave, you want to feel rewarded, right? So you need to allow for that. Make that allowance in your budget or savings plan to say, okay, this is how much I'm gonna save. And I think for us, if it's at least a third or a quarter of the amount you're saving per month that you're setting for yourself, to say, okay, here my girl is gonna go crazy, okay? This is what I'm gonna spend. Okay, so if you save that much, like a third or a quarter of how much you're saving that you put away for your allowance, then your savings plan stands a better chance of actually seeing itself through, right? Rather than when you set unrealistic savings plan where you don't even have money to spend at all. Some way or another, that money is gonna find its way out of your pocket, you know? But if you can allow yourself to be human and allow for that leverage to spoil yourself, to know that you're gonna wanna spend, right? Then you can at least be able to manage your money better.
And allowance money is good.
Yes, it's very good. So yeah, and then I remember when I was in varsity, they had one of these money talks, and they're like, if you're not that disciplined yet, you can start with the cash method. So this is the money that you're gonna put away to spend. And you can go withdraw it, keep it as cash, so that you see it physically as it moves, so that when it's finished, you know that it's done. You wait for your next income, the next time you get an income, if it's a salary or business profits or whatever, right? So that helps.
And yeah, and something else that we thought to talk about is giving. You know, giving, it's one of those tough ones in the budget, particularly managing people's expectations.
Friends and family. Yeah, because
maybe we'll start off with family. I think if you're black, right, whenever you start, get a job. Because there are expectations, you know, we come from the hardships, you know. So everyone is trying to make it, you know, and there are expectations that come on you. As a black person, when you get a job, there are expectations from family.
Definitely.
And you need to manage those expectations. You know, you need to be real with yourself, right? If you're single, sit down by yourself and ask yourself, what can you manage to give? You know, if you have a partner, you need to be open to them about the expectations that come from families, you know, and discuss that and manage the expectations. So in terms
and be very stern about it. You know, so prepare that, okay, I'm going to give, but this is how much I'm willing to give. And beyond that, hey, stand your ground. Like, don't allow people's expectations to eat out in you, because it can get really toxic. You know, and that's what you want to avoid. If you're no longer giving with peace in your heart, if you're no longer giving joyfully, then your giving is no longer honorable, to be honest. You know, and why do you want to do that to yourself? So sometimes I know it can get tricky. I know it's hard. I know, but best believe me, if you set it from the get-go that this is how much you're willing to help, then your family will come along. Just believe it. Also, you can also consider, when it comes to giving to family, you can actually consider rather giving capital so that they can take it from there and be able to sustain themselves going forward, rather than building dependency, right? Because dependency can get a bit toxic. And
I think you should always create opportunities and not dependency.
Okay. Yes, create opportunities, not dependency. Definitely. I like that. Wherever possible.
And another point to look at in giving is giving to friends. You know,
and managing friends' expectations about your money.
It's very important to manage your friends' expectations. Just general giving, you need to be conscious what you're giving. So I mean, there are many expectations sometimes. I mean, some of them come subtle, you know, like birthday, your friend's birthday, baby showers, and things like that, you know. So you need to be conscious in terms of what you're giving. And that's just going back to your objectives of saving. You know, how much are you willing to give? And it's all about honest communication with your friends. But this is how much I can give, you know. I can't give more than that. And we understand there's an expectation that comes when you start working, especially if you work for big firms, you know. People think you are just loaded with money, you know, but when you communicate with you, hey, this is how much I'm actually doing other things with my money, people will be able to understand that, this is really how much you can give.
Anyway, point number 4. Point number 4 is delayed gratification. I know it's painful. It's painful, but I mean, if you read all the books out there, all of them, self-made millionaires, whatever, they'll tell you at some point you have to sacrifice luxuries for achieving your goals. Some of the things that we think are luxuries, guys, honestly, we think we need are actually just luxuries, really, and we don't need any. You need to think very objectively when it comes to spending your money. Know what you're spending and why you're spending, and don't be fooled by branding. Sometimes good branding does not equate to quality, and there are many cases in which this is true, right? So be very careful what you spend your money on. He knows I'm the queen of cheapskate. I'm the cheapskate, okay? I'm the master cheapskate out here. But I don't compromise on certain things. So there are certain things that I've identified as things that are important to me, where I don't compromise on quality and I'm prepared to pay, right? But there are some things, and the biggest example here is clothes. You don't need expensive clothes, okay? Style does not need to be expensive, and also cheap doesn't necessarily mean shabby. Okay, cheap is not shabby. So there are some things that you sacrifice on, that you can sacrifice on for the better interest of your dreams, you know, the things that you want to achieve. And I always say that sometimes think about how much you earn. The average South African earns
about 25,000.
25,000 rand. Let's just say you earn 25,000 rand. Break it down to a day. How much do you earn in a day? 800 rand? 800 rand. Cool.
Yeah.
If you're gonna buy a shoe that is worth 2,000 rand, for example, if you were to sit down for 2.5 days working just so that you can earn that shoe, would you still do it? You know, sometimes when you break it down like that, you see that some things you don't really need. And yeah, if you look at the value of your money by breaking it out into pieces of how much you work to be able to afford those bits and pieces of things that you're spending your money on, your habits will probably change. So delayed gratification is good. It has helped us.
Yeah, definitely. And what I learned, especially from her, is that being a cheapskate doesn't mean you're losing out on quality. You know, you really gain the value of your money. Very important.
And then the last one,
then it makes you
point number 5,
being conscious.
Yeah,
it's very important to be conscious about where you're spending your money and how you're spending it.
And you gotta think about what influences your spending habits. What influences your money habits? Do you come from a position of lack? Do you find a validation from now being able to spend, having the means to spend? You know, some of those things influence us, right? And we need to be aware, be conscious, so that you can do something about it and change that.
Very important.
Do you come from a background of abundance? Have you been made to feel all your life that you don't need to worry about anything, you can just buy anything that you need, but now you're not responsible for your life, honey? You know, you need to think about those things. And you also need to be comfortable with unlearning things that were probably instilled in you as a child, and redefine what your money values are, redefine what your money habits are. So being conscious and knowing why you spend on the things that you do can help you keep some of those pennies in your pockets. Okay. So being conscious does help.
And relearning as well. Like she was saying, there's a lot of financial information out there to learn. You know, re-conscientizing yourself.
A lot of financial misinformation out there as well, which you need to dispel.
So you need to find a balance between that and get on and learn. You know, become more conscious about when you're making a decision about money. You know really what is the implications of that decision. You know,
and I think actually on the point of delayed gratification, sometimes you can use the 5 or 10 second rule. Think hard. Tlaly, do you need this, girl? Like, do you really need it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? No. Leave it on the rack. Leave it on the shelves. You don't need it. These are some of the habits that have helped us save better, and we think that they can work for everyone. Obviously, Umesta came up with the facts. There's a saving problem out there. There's not a lot of us that are saving. So let's use some of these habits. Let's build a good savings culture. You know.
Let's build a good savings culture. And we understand that maybe not everyone has got a lot of income, you know, but you have to keep trying. You have to try your best.
The Bible actually says that if you can be trusted with little, you can be trusted with a lot. If you can't manage 10,000 rand, you are not gonna manage 1,000,000 rand.
I'm laughing.
Best believe it.
I'm laughing because I'm thinking of the show I Blew It.
It's not fun. It's actually sad. But that's what happens. You need to build good money habits with your little income. And that will help you manage your more income later on. And
this is the money series.
Stay tuned, guys. For the next episode, we will talk about investing your savings, but that's as much as I'll say. So thanks for watching up until this far.
Thank you so much for watching up until this far, and the next episode is lit, guys.
But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, engage with us. Thank you so much for those who engage with us. We really appreciate it.
And don't forget to share as well.
Yeah, share with your friends. That's very important.
Yeah.
Alright guys, stay tuned. Until next time.
Say
bye.